What is going on, YouTube? Welcome back to another episode of the Always Compete Seahawks podcast. Today, for the draft, you already know we got to get the reunion going.
Come
Uh,
on.
well, how could we not, right? The draft just passed Mike McDonald's first as
Yeah.
head coach, a different era of Seahawks drafting. Although, in many ways, it kind of felt like a similar draft to what we've
Yeah.
seen before. We're
Yep.
obviously going to break into it. Before we hop in and start analyzing pick by pick, Mike, welcome back. It's
Thank you.
been a
Thank you. I
bit.
like to think of this as like the Avengers Endgame of this show.
For real. We're coming
Excited to get it
back.
back. Again, it's
Yeah.
a big moment in Seahawks, history. This is the first draft of the new era with
Mhm.
Mike McDonald. I think it's really interesting to look at kind of the elements of Pete's draft and the elements of now Mike's draft and where John Schneider kind of plays in the middle there. But yeah, I think that it's time to get into the draft. We didn't have a lot of picks in this draft. I mean, we're out
Yeah.
one because of Leonard Williams, second round pick. We were out, I believe, what equated to about a third for Sam Howell. I know it
Mhm.
wasn't exactly a third, but it kind of equated to that. So limited number of picks, but I still think the Seahawks made some interesting moves.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's about just high time to dive right into that kind of first round pick. There was a lot of interest to see where the Seahawks were going to go. There was some buzz late about like maybe they go Cooper DeJean. Like that's like that was like the buzz really heading
Yeah.
in. And I'm like, I mean, if we pick Cooper DeJean, like I guess I'll be okay. But I also think a lot of people were like trade back to get a second round pick to add up that draft capital that we lost in the Leonard Williams trade. So when the board starts to fall and we have six quarterbacks in the top 12 and not a single defensive player taken until the Colts right before us, where they took Latu, and the draft is really falling in a favorable way for the Seahawks, where basically my thought process was I'm watching those corners fall. I'm like, Philadelphia is going to jump up with us to get one of those corners. Like that was the absolute thought process in my mind. And I'm waiting and I'm waiting, and the pick is in.
Yep. You're like,
Was not
uh-oh.
expecting that. Yeah,
Hmm.
you're like, oh boy, here comes Cooper DeJean.
Yeah.
Here comes, I don't know,
Here
some
comes the
like,
guy from University of Phoenix
yeah,
Institute Tech.
yeah.
They were supposed to go in the sixth. Yeah. Like, oh
I
shit.
mean, yeah. So I was fully ready, and then Roger Goodell comes up,
Hmm.
and with the 16th pick, the Seattle Seahawks selected Byron Murphy, defensive tackle out of Texas. One of my favorite players in the draft on defense. The top rated tackle, pretty much consensus top rated D tackle in the draft.
Yeah.
Ranked on ESPN's big board at number 14. He got a 91 grade. So picked him at about value, right? At about value of where he was expected to go. Mike, thoughts on Byron Murphy, the
So
next
I will
Seahawks D
say,
tackle?
quite hilariously, my initial reaction, I was on a draft live stream, so I have my, pure reaction live. It was no, like to scream literally no at the top of my lungs because I don't think I was thinking straight because I guess I was so enamored with trading down with, getting extra picks. I really thought Philly was going to trade up for Quinyon Mitchell, and then he ends up falling all the way to 22. So Howie is just working his black magic once again. But I was really expecting, to trade back. I was maybe expecting an interior offensive lineman to trade back for. But when the pick was in, I got a little nervous. I got those butterflies, like I was saying, because I've been worried about a lot of these picks lately.
Yeah.
In the Pete Carroll regime, obviously we're in a new regime now, but when Byron Murphy was announced, me personally, I had Johnny Newton a little bit higher.
Mhm.
However, as the draft unfolded, I'm really starting to think that the consensus around the league was not my consensus, apparently, because Johnny Newton fell all the way, what was it, 36, 37 to the
Yeah.
Commander.
Early
Um,
second.
he was the third or fourth defensive tackle taken. So to me, it seems like the league was kind of in agreement that Byron Murphy was defensive tackle one in this class. And honestly, like I'm for it. I think Mike McDonald, what he did so well in Baltimore was build up the trenches. Think about Justin Madubuike, you know what I'm saying, in the year he had last year. Byron Murphy's an athletic freak. He's super quick. He's maybe a little bit small for a dominant defensive tackle, but I think he's probably going to play three tech, if I'm not mistaken. That's what they said
Mhm.
he's going to play.
Yeah.
So I think that his quickness will be an asset. And again, if he's just going to cause havoc, get to the quarterback, and having him and Leonard Williams, I think, is a really, really nice defensive tackle duo.
I love the pick. You watch the tape. I think Byron Murphy, when you're looking at how bad this run defense was the last 2 to 3 years,
The last 5 years, yeah.
yeah. I mean,
Exactly.
Byron Murphy is a prototypical I mean, he's so strong when you watch him on tape. He really beats
Mhm.
double teams very well, very strong in his core. And
Yeah.
when you look at what this team has now, kind of from left to right, where you're going to be having the opportunity to have Leonard Williams and Byron Murphy at the three tech
Mhm.
with Jaron Reed sniffing some nose tackle in there. Like
Yep.
he really played effectively last year.
Good. Yep.
And then you're gonna have Boye Mafe and a healthy Chenna Nwosu kind of on those edges. We're
Yeah.
looking at the strongest defensive line in Seattle in a long time.
Yeah.
Which
I've since Legion of Boom.
yeah, realistically. And you're talking about a guy who loves to build up the core of this defense. And Mike McDonald, who did such a great job in Baltimore
Mhm.
using the pieces that he had. And he has
Yeah.
so much talent and youth on this roster that
Yep.
I mean, this pick was my favorite for the Seahawks. I mean, it's obviously the first round pick, so it's good that it's your favorite pick of
Right.
the entire thing. But I mean, this
Right.
is a strong, healthy pick for the Seahawks. Very amped for Byron Murphy.
Mhm.
I feel like
Yeah.
he's a
I'm
he's
really
a
excited.
great fit. Great
Really
fit.
excited. Yep.
Yeah. Moving on, Seahawks obviously don't get a second round pick through a trade back. You
Mhm.
long wait from 16 to pick 81, where the Seahawks pick my dream pick. I had an exchange with you on Twitter
Yeah.
about this before. I am a Yukon Huskies fan through and through. I watch their garbage football team. I'm wearing a Yukon basketball shirt right now. Garbage football team, great basketball team, obviously. Uh, I'm
Men and women's basketball team, they're good.
yeah,
Yeah.
great. Love
Okay.
Yukon. Christian Haynes is is about as consistent of a player as I've ever seen. Really, on a garbage team, he's always the best player. Uh, um,
I mean, you're right. You're right.
Yeah, but Christian Haynes, pick 81, right guard, pretty much. He came in at 70 on ESPN's big board, so we get some value there. I thought he could go as high as early second round.
Yeah.
Obviously falls to mid third. So give your thoughts. Seahawks first two picks buffing up the trenches here.
Well, I was very much in favor of taking an interior offensive lineman at 16. We went with an interior defensive lineman, which I was totally fine with. But then I'm looking and I'm like, oh my gosh, we got, 50 some, 60 some picks,
Mhm.
70 some picks. I can't do math. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We have multiple rounds, of basically until our next pick. And it was making me nervous because I was like, are we gonna not get out of this draft with an interior offensive lineman, or is he gonna be playable? When Goodell went up to the stage, well, it wasn't Goodell. I believe it was Tyler Lockett, actually.
Mhm.
When he went up to the stage and took Christian Haynes, I was ecstatic. I thought that they absolutely had a plan. They were going to go with Christian Haynes. They were waiting for him to fall. I did see that they were looking to make a trade up, which to me means that they also had somebody else in mind. But I think Christian Haynes at 81 is a great
Mhm.
consolation prize. In terms of, I think, pure value, I think this was their best pick. Again, a guy that's probably going to be a day one starter at right guard, which is what he played at UConn, I believe.
Mhm.
He's going to slot in. I've heard words like Mauler. He's smart. He's aggressive. And I really like that. And again, he started a lot of games at UConn. I think John said he started like 50, 51 games at UConn. He's experienced.
Mhm.
I really, you can't ask for a better pick at 81 when you're looking for just guys in the middle. And again, when you have great skill position talent like the Seahawks do, but you're lacking in that interior offensive line, getting a guy like Christian Hayes with the third round pick, that's beautiful. That's just great execution right there.
Yeah. I mean, I love the pick as the resident Yukon expert, right?
Yeah.
Christian Haynes, yeah, he started 4 straight years, every
Hmm.
game for the Yukon Huskies, 4 straight years at right guard. 6 year senior, that COVID year. He could
Right.
have gone to the draft last year. Back to back All American,
Right.
only a third All American in school history for football. In general, really just a super complete guard. What I really like about him is coming in. Ryan Grubb likes a zone scheme in his runs, and Christian Haynes is a great zone blocker, and
Yep.
he pulls with a
Hmm.
lot of force. He's very athletic. He's quick getting around that edge, and when he can really get into linebackers, it creates big plays.
Yep.
And
Yep.
I love how basically with this pick we see the philosophy coming into form.
Hmm.
First round, Mike McDonald's like, we're gonna get a beast in the trenches.
Yep.
Third round, Ryan Grubb's like, all right, it's my turn.
I
Let me
wanted. I want my beast in the
yeah,
trenches. Yeah.
yeah. Let me fill in my guy. Let me get just a nasty, consistent player who should slot in day one at right guard over Anthony Bradford and start games.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. I think we signed Laken Tomlinson a couple of weeks ago, and although I filled a big need, he was not very good last year.
Hmm.
Probably still our starting left guard, I would guess, at this current moment, unless we add somebody else. But
Yeah.
again, that would mean that we would have not great, starters at left and right guard. Adding a guy like Christian Haynes at right guard, I think, makes you feel a lot better about the draft. And then you start to get optimistic. You say, well, if Olu is going to be good at center, if Abe Lucas can stay healthy at right tackle, if Charles Cross can continue to develop, all of a sudden Seattle might have a pretty good offensive line. You know what I'm
Hmm.
saying? Obviously, we're hoping for the best there, but Charles Cross has been a good, not great, not bad left tackle, I think, so far.
Hmm.
Lucas has been good when he's been on the field. Again, now you're hoping that Christian Haynes and Olu can fulfill that interior of the offensive line. And you got 4 out of 5 positive starters. I think you're doing a pretty good job on that O line.
Yeah. You know, obviously a lot of picks to dive into. I'm just gonna kind of try to shorten it down. I'm just gonna do a quick run through of some of these later picks and give
Yeah,
me some of your favorites. Give me some of your ones that you have questions about. Round 4, pick 118, a little bit of a trade back there. We slide
yeah,
back about 20 picks, add a fifth in there, which we did not have from the Sam Howell trade. Uh, Pick 118 linebacker Tyrese Knight out of UTEP.
yep,
This guy kind of like a Bobby-esque build type of player, even where short, stocky, not super fast, good against the run, struggles
yeah,
against the pass. That's pretty much the diagnosis there. Pick 121, tight end AJ Barner out of Michigan. Kind of like a blocking tight end, really seems like a
yeah.
Will Disley replacement there.
Yeah, that
Uh,
wasn't my favorite, to be honest with you. That
yeah.
was not my favorite pick. We just had signed Pharaoh Brown to kind of be that role, and
Hmm.
then you're quote unquote wasting a fifth round pick. Now, I think somebody made a point, and I don't remember exactly who it was. I wish I can give them credit. Basically, like Seattle lost a lot of special teams reps in the offseason.
Hmm.
So they're hoping to replace some of those in the draft, which I get. He'll probably be a quality special teamer, but that seems like kind of high draft capital to
Yeah.
waste on blocking tight end special teamer when you just signed Pharaoh Brown. But whatever, that's just me.
Yeah, I agree. I think it was kind of a response to the run on tight ends, which we saw early in the fourth, where Jatavian Sanders goes off,
Yep.
and some of those tight ends that were at the top of the board that fell a little bit went off, and I think we had like 5 tight ends go before AJ Barner, and then Seattle
Yeah.
kind of was like, all right, we have to get AJ Barner before someone else gets him.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
Maybe a rushed pick. I don't know. We'll see. We'll
I
see
think
how
so. I
that
think so
pans
too.
out.
Yeah.
Pick 136, Nehemiah Pritchett out of Auburn.
Mhm.
Not necessarily a Pete corner, but still long and lanky. He's not
Yeah.
like 6'5", uber athletic,
Right.
but
Right.
6 foot long. That is kind of the Baltimore corner scheme
Yeah.
fit there,
Yeah.
which we saw a few years ago.
Yeah.
Round 6, pick 179, Setaoa Laumea. I believe I'm saying that right. Setaoa
The more
Laumea.
some, I think I have a theory. The more Samoan your name sounds, the better you are as an offensive lineman.
That
I
is
mean that.
true. I mean, it's
Troy
like,
Fautanu is going to be an All Pro. I'm just saying that
yeah.
right.
Penny
Like that's
Sewell just got a huge contract the
and they
other
still
day.
just got Jordan Mailata. Like those guys
Yeah.
are just amazing. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Um,
I love the
I love the
idea.
pick.
I love
Yeah,
the idea to go
I
out
love
and
the
get
idea. You
add as
look at
many
the sixth
Samoans as
round.
possible.
Yeah, yeah, you're getting in the sixth round a guy who, again, in sixth and seventh round, you're taking flyers, you're taking projects, you're taking guys that could be great or have attributes. This guy, if he can develop well, I think could be a really, really interesting prospect at offensive line. I really, really like that pick in the early in the sixth round.
Yeah. I think he has potential upside at guard, especially.
Yes, yes.
DJ James, another Auburn corner. Go 2 Auburn corners. Another
You mean
kind
Nikhil
of
Thorpe has any influence in that draft room there, Sam?
yeah.
The former
Yeah,
Auburn guy? Yeah.
I think he made the call to DJ James, if
Yeah,
I'm
I
not
think I
mistaken. I
saw
think
that
he
too.
made the
Yeah,
call.
that was
And
pretty
then
cool.
lastly, you kind of have a project pick here, Michael Jarrell out of Finlay,
Yeah.
tackle. Kind of diving in. I'm just gonna open up a question or two here.
Yeah.
Uh, linebacker was an expected pick. Tight end
Yeah.
was an expected pick.
Yeah.
Two corners, not as expected. What do you think the two corners kind of say about how Mike McDonald views this current cornerback room?
I'm not freaking out like some people are. Like some people, are on Twitter like, oh, Rick Williams gone, oh, blah, 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 blah. I don't think that's necessarily the case. I think like I mentioned a few minutes ago, they lost a lot of special teams reps. And I believe it was DJ James who ran like 4.42 or something. Like he ran a ridiculous 40.
Yeah.
He could be a great gunner, on punt team or kickoff or
Mhm.
whatever. And especially now with the kickoff return rules changing, I think kick coverage is more important than it has been. So I think special teams is one aspect. The other aspect is like, outside of Reek and Spoon, the room's probably a little thin. Like if Mike Jackson is your third corner, you don't feel terrible about it, but you can also definitely see an upgrade. Trey Brown's been in there, Kobe Bryant's been in there, obviously. Like, some guys, I think maybe Kobe Bryant might play some safety, is what
Mhm.
I've been hearing. So again, I don't think that depth at DB is ever really a bad thing. You're taking two good athletes and again two good values. I've seen both of those picks in terms of like the big board chart and value wise be pretty praised for Seattle getting them that late in the draft. But again, DB is one of those positions where I don't think you can ever have enough depth. You know what I'm saying? You don't want to be in a
Yeah.
game Trey Flowers out there covering Tyreek. You know what I'm saying? Like you kind of want to have some depth there. So I didn't really mind it. I don't think it means imminent peril for Tariq Woolen.
Yeah. Another thing that I would really like to point out, this was kind of my big observation here, in my opinion. I think sneaky winner of this draft is Olu Oluwatimi.
Mm-hmm.
They're
Yep.
banking on him strong.
Yep.
And John Schneider kind of talked about it a little bit like, oh, Christian Haynes could slide in at center. He did a little bit of that at the Senior Bowl, but he has never played a snap of center in organized football.
No. Right.
So,
Right.
uh, you know,
And I saw
really,
John. Yeah, I saw John in his press conference talk about Olu playing center against Detroit and how he did. He thought he did a good job. To me, that's another sign that's kind of like, yeah, he's our center as of right now, guys. Come
yeah.
on, like, we're gonna give him a shot. Which I agree with. I
Mhm.
thought he was a great prospect last year. I thought we got him in what the fifth
Yeah, fifth
last
round. Mhm.
Yeah, I mean that was a great pick by Seattle last year, so I don't mind that at all.
Yeah,
Another winner I will say in the Seahawks organization, Sam Howell. There
huge
was a
winner.
lot of talk that the Seahawks were going to take a Spencer Rattler, a Joe Milton, a Michael Pratt, whatever. Never to now we're not exactly known for taking quarterbacks. I think in my lifetime the Seahawks have taken Russell Wilson and Alex Magoo. I think that's the extent of the list there.
Yeah,
But there was a lot of buzz around the fact that Spencer Rattler, there was going to be a large gap between whoever the last first round guy was, Bo Nix, and then Spencer Rattler. Seahawks could take him, with one of our sixes or a fourth or whatever. And they didn't. From what I've been hearing, the coaching staff is really impressed with Sam Howell so far.
yeah,
He is going to be the backup this year. And I think that if all goes well for him, he has a chance to be the future quarterback of the Seattle Seahawks.
yeah. Big
So I
chance.
think that he won this draft as well. I think that, it shows a lot of confidence in him that they didn't take a quarterback.
Yeah, I think that's a huge thing. There was a question asked yesterday where they were like, John, what's the long-term plan at quarterback?
Mhm.
And they passed on Spencer Rattler, who they had in for a visit. They passed on Spencer Rattler multiple times.
Yep.
They passed on Michael Pratt like 3 times.
Yep.
Those guys, they did not take. And when asked about it yesterday, he was like, Sam Howell's got 2 more years left on his deal.
Yep.
And he said it straight up. And you're like, so Sam Howell, if all things go well, according to John, Sam Howell's the starting quarterback of the Seahawks next year,
Yeah.
which is very interesting. I'm interested to see how that's going to play out, and
Yeah.
really how that's going to be impacted there. If you just had to take a guess, right, uh looking at how this offseason has unfolded right now, how are you going to grade this draft?
I'm gonna give it. I'm gonna give it a B. I'm going to give it a
I
B
agree.
because I think they could have addressed safety. I would have really liked a Jaden Hicks. I would have really
Mhm.
liked Malik Mustafa. Of course, he had to go to the 49ers because why wouldn't he? Um,
Yeah.
but other than safety, they addressed linebacker. They were a little too heavy on corner, in my opinion. They,
Mhm.
I think, got two really interesting guys at offensive linemen that I think have guard versatility. That can because that's what we really need is guard. And then Brian Murphy, I think, is a solid pick at pick 16. Again, this is not a sexy draft. We didn't draft a receiver, a quarterback, a running back. It's not a sexy draft, but sometimes you just got to take the non-sexy picks. You got to stock up on big boys and you
Yeah.
got to improve the trenches. And that's been Mike Mack's philosophy when he was at Baltimore. And I don't know. I think that we're building the Seahawks in his image, which is I think the best thing we could do. So I'm going to give it a B, bordering on a B plus.
I totally agree. I think it's a B. Mike McDonald straight up said we're gonna play a style of offense that's or we're gonna play a style of football that's you don't want to play.
Yeah.
I think he that you don't want to play against more so where he's like we're gonna be mean, we're gonna hit you, we're gonna I love that philosophy
Mhm.
with him kind of going. Uh,
Yeah.
really, I think that the two first picks make this a home run. Yeah, I think in my opinion, you have two day one starters,
Yeah.
right? You
Yeah.
have two. you have 2 day 1 starters slotting
Yep.
in on the interior, which was needed, badly needed. Um, and frankly, looking at how this shaped out, how this draft really came together, I think I think more so than maybe with Pete, where people are like the draft was kind of the same. I don't think Pete goes need in those first 2 picks. I don't think he goes need like that.
Mm-mm.
Last year, the years before, Pete kind of always went outside of the box a little bit. Even the Devin Witherspoon pick, oh my God, can't talk. Devin Witherspoon
Yeah.
pick
Yeah.
was outside the box.
Yeah. It was a good
Um,
pick, but it was
great,
outside.
great pick by
Yeah.
outside the box.
Exactly.
Um, you know, this is the first time where looking at the board, especially in with a little bit of hindsight, I think like Byron Murphy is the perfect player for this team. It's exactly what they need right now. It gives, and I'm just going to open up as we kind of begin to wrap up and finish up discussing this draft.
Yeah.
I'm just going to open up a question to the floor. I think the Seahawks have the best interior defensive line in the NFC West right now.
Well, it helps that Aaron Donald retired. That
Aaron
surely
Donald retired. Eric
definitely helps.
Armstead's out of San Francisco.
Yeah.
You're looking at 3 7+ sack potential guys on the inside there.
Well, and that's good because we need a good defensive line because the Rams absolutely stocked up on interior offensive linemen this offseason.
Yeah.
So, I mean, if we didn't want to get pushed 5 yards past the line of scrimmage on every, inside zone run play,
Yeah.
I think that also played into it as well. I think the
Mhm.
Byron Murphy pick, not again, obviously, I don't think this was like the main component or the whatever, but I think something that went into consideration was, hey, the Rams offensive line was really, really good. Sean McVay is a really good run game, coordinator. I know obviously the coach, but he was really good at coordinating a run game. And they ran the shit out of the ball with a healthy Kyron Williams last year. We need to stop that. Like that's one of those
And they
things.
just got out and got Blake Corum too.
And they got Blake Horn, So clearly the Seahawks are kind of playing chess with the Rams here a little bit. And then let's not forget, obviously, the 49ers. Who do they have at running back? I don't know. I forget his name. But
Yeah.
he's okay, I guess, right? So
Mhm.
that plays into it. That definitely plays into it. So no, I like the pick. Again, this is a very not Pete Carroll draft. This was a very if Pete was at 16, I want to ask you, if we still had Pete, who would he take at 16? You think Cooper DeJean? Is Cooper DeJean a Seahawk right now?
Genuinely, I
Yeah,
think Cooper DeJean would have a genuine shot because
yeah,
Pete's a secondary guy. He
he is.
likes he likes secondary players.
Yep,
Uh, really only a few times he's ever bulked up on the interior in the first round, and
yeah,
that's been like Jermaine Ifedi
yeah.
and LJ Collier.
No, what?
Those we saw how those worked out.
Right.
But
Malik
I think
McDowell, don't forget, classic.
Malik McDowell, legend,
Yeah,
legend.
classic. Yep.
I think that looking at it seriously, we're talking about Cooper Jean or hell, Terry and Arnold could have gone.
Oh my God,
Quinyon
yeah,
Mitchell. Quinyon
yeah.
Mitchell's a Pete corner. He's
He
like
is
6'2",
small school
long.
guy. Yep, long
Yeah,
arms,
small
fat.
school
Yep,
Toledo.
yep,
I think that genuinely, I think Mike McDonald, with his defensive philosophy, is so much more. We're gonna beat you up front.
yep,
Uh, I loved the draft. I really did.
yeah. I did
And
too.
I think there was I think that's why once again the big push to re-sign Leonard Williams. Uh, I think the identity is totally different, and I'm really excited to see how this all shapes out.
It also helps guys like Reek Woolen, who I think are at their best when they're able to play the ball in the air.
Mhm.
And you get that better pass rush. You're hurrying the quarterback, make them throw some bad decisions. Reek Woolen might make a play on the ball in the air. He might take it the other way. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
So I think that again, people are worried about Reek Woolen. Mike has plans for him, and he knows that Reek Woolen is a guy that he could really maximize. But no, I like the draft. Again, not sexy, not did give me a total heart attack. So that means it was not a Pete Carroll draft.
yeah.
Yeah.
I'm very excited to see what this means for the team. Very excited to see how this all shapes out. We'll be having some more content coming for you,
Yep.
breaking down as this progresses, kind of doing some team breakdowns here, how the Mike McDonald Seahawks team is going to look this year.
Mhm.
But thank you guys for watching. Hope you guys enjoyed the draft. Give us your thoughts, comments below.
Mhm.
Start the discussion. We do respond. So just give us your thoughts. Mike, any last things you want to say?
Um, but make sure to follow us on Twitter. We be posting a lot of Seahawks stuff, and we
Mhm.
have amazing opinions. Clearly,
Very good opinions. The
I was
best.
screaming at the top of my lungs for them to trade up for Jackson Powers Johnson. which didn't end up happening. But I was screaming for it. But yeah, that's pretty much it. I'm glad to be back talking about the new era of the Seahawks, and
Yeah.
let's go win the West again, man. I'm sick of being in the bottom of the division, dude. It's been
Let's
like,
win the West.
come
Let's
on,
win the goddamn
come
West.
on,
That's
let's
that's
do
the
it.
message this year. Win the West.
Yeah.
Thank you guys for watching. See you next time. Peace out.